Welcome back, guys. I'm your host, DJ.
And I'm your host, Sav.
And welcome to another episode of Deeper Than Most.
Yes. And today is episode 27, as you can tell. And this is part 12 of the FNC series. Now, today's episode is in Idaho. And, yeah, we have a nit to pick with Idaho. We had a very strange and...
It's still fuck Idaho, and that's to the day I die. Okay.
Yeah, we had a very, just odd experience out there, for real. We got stranded out there. Yeah. So if you ever want a story time about that, we can give it to you. Because we definitely got stranded in Idaho and did not mean to.
It was an interesting experience, honestly.
It was, and it was trash.
Yeah.
Just to say the least. So this is the notorious crime for Idaho, but just to be specific about everything, this episode, it takes place on the border of Washington State and Idaho.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a 2-in-1. Like it's a cross-state case.
Oh, that's scary.
Yes, exactly. So it's from Lewiston to Clarkston. It's kind of hard to explain this, but it's a string of murders that have taken place from Lewiston to Clarkston. Mm-hmm. And this happened in 1979 all the way till 1982.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, yeah. So there's 5 murders that were, 2 disappearances, 3 confirmed murders, and 1 link. Okay. But we're just gonna sum it all up and assume at this point that the 2 that have disappeared are deceased, just because of how long it's been. So yeah, it's 5 murders and 1 link. So we're gonna see how this all plays out. We definitely want to hear your guys' thoughts for this episode, because this one is just a doozy. It's pretty crazy. So we definitely want to know your thoughts.
Yeah, no, seriously. Leave comments and let us know, because I'm intrigued to hear what you guys think about these cases that we cover.
Agreed. And today, I'm sipping on a homemade margarita. Okay. I just recently got a margarita shaker. And, and it's amazing. So, yeah, there's that.
Yeah, I have a mixed drink as well, but it's not a margarita.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that.
So, this week's current events, there really isn't much going on in the world. Nothing really interesting right now.
Aside from a new strain of COVID.
Yeah, exactly. Schmovid is back again. But,
Schmovito.
Well, not like it ever left, but you know. So, this is going to be about... I really just want to have a quick little discussion about handouts. The handout discussion.
Okay, cool.
I read about this today, and I don't know. I had mixed feelings about it, to say the least. So, Dr. Dre's oldest daughter, Latoya, wow, I can't say her name.
Latoya?
Yeah. Latoya Johnson, age 35, has recently came out to the Daily Mail that she is essentially homeless and is living out of a rental car, trying to make ends meet by doing Uber Eats, DoorDash, and maintaining a warehouse job.
Oh, I heard about this like a week ago, but I didn't get into it.
Yeah.
But go on.
So I feel like it can definitely spark up a lot of conversation for this episode, just because it's a topic that doesn't get talked about that much, you know?
Yeah.
So Dr. Dre, who is worth $800 million. I
mean, hey, man.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Do your thing.
Talk about a multi-millionaire. $800 million. Like,
do your thing. That's all
wow.
I can tell you.
Yeah, so Dr. Dre, who is worth $800 million, was helping her out at one point. And I'm pretty sure Dr. Dre has, I don't know how many kids he has, but she's the oldest out of all of them. And so, you know, he was helping her out at one point, but in January of 2020, he stopped because she was speaking against him in the media.
Do you know, like, the
like what exactly was said. Yeah. No, but it was like on more than one occasion. It wasn't just like her saying one thing that like sent him. It wasn't just like one thing that sent him over the edge. Right. Or maybe just even if it wasn't anything negative, if that's against his wishes and she's still doing it, then I mean, you know. So she isn't allowed to contact him personally and has to go through his team to do so.
Ooh.
Right, yeah, he cut all contact off.
I mean...
Rightfully so, though. I mean,
you can do that, though. So, like,
if she did go against what he, you know, simply asked, like, you know, just don't talk about me in the media. Like, then don't talk about me in the media.
And then this man just had like an aneurysm not too long ago.
Yep, yes. And this is when she was trying to contact him to see if he was okay. And she talked about it in the media again and explained how it was like a whole struggle pretty much to try to even see if he was okay when she had found out. Because she couldn't contact him. She had to go through everybody else for her own dad. Man. Yep. So she claimed he doesn't even want anything to do with her kids either. And she has 4 of them. So he's got 4 grandkids just from her. And he doesn't want anything to do with them.
I just want to know why. Like, I wonder what the reason.
I guess because they're connected to her. But the kids are shocked by this. And they don't have, like, an answer, really.
Right.
But my whole thing is, it's just a handout. And I'm going to kind of, like, tap into this. But I have 2 questions to kind of, like, bounce off of here. And the first one... it's a little warm up, but the second question is really what I want to talk about because I have mixed opinions on it.
Okay.
So the first question is, how do you feel about handouts? Period, like just in general.
I feel like handouts are something that should be it should be more earned than just given to people. Like I don't ever think that people should just be handed things because that's not how life works.
I agree. But I also feel like if you're earning it, like, you probably don't need the handout. Because you're probably in a good enough position to not even have to work for a handout because you're capable of... You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no, definitely.
I don't know.
And that's the other spectrum of it. Because it's like, you know, you could earn it, but you wouldn't need it. But then on the other end, somebody could just give it to you, and then... But
that's what a handout is. Yeah. You know, somebody just giving it to you. Whether that's in hopes of a return or not, because everybody's different. Every situation is different. But what I really want to dive into is, do you think a wealthy parent is obligated to provide for their adult children just because they have the means to do so?
My answer is flat out no.
See? And that's what I think as well. But a lot of people feel as though, like, if you're rich and you got all this money, like, why would you not provide for your kid?
No.
Like, definitely... you know, like, why are you hogging all your money? And I feel like this ain't a problem that we got because we're broke. But I mean, rich people definitely have this problem.
I said we got our means, but nobody needs to know all of that.
Yeah. But, we good over here. But the thing about it is that, I don't know, it's kind of like that thing where, you know how, like, people feel like when they come up and they make it, they finally got it big, they done made it out the mud, they feel like they have to buy their mom a house. Or, like, they're obligated to get their siblings cars, or, like, take everybody on a family vacation.
I'll say it like this. Once you're an adult, nobody's obligated to do anything for you. Because at that point...
Even if your mom or your dad had $800 million to their name and they knew that you were homeless, literally their oldest kid, like, you wouldn't feel some type of way knowing that they have $800 million and they see that you're literally struggling. You have 4 kids, like their grandkids.
I mean, that's a little different because it's like at that point you need the help. But that's what
I'm saying, but it's still a handout. So what does she have to do to earn a handout, like you said?
If you've been, because I'm sure, like, most of these people, like, especially Dr. Dre, I'm sure he, raises kids on decent morals. I mean, I don't know the man personally, but I'm just taking a shot.
Yeah, we definitely don't know.
But if your family's in a position where they do have money, I feel like they would, in some capacity, set you up to where you can do the same
for success.
Thing. Yeah. In some capacity, even if it's not like completely giving you every tool. Like, you still have the resources. Like,
exactly, setting you up for success, literally. But I don't know. I just feel like with this, a lot of people will say, yeah, why would he, like, he has all this money, like, literally it would be nothing to give her $1 million even. Not even that. But just to give her even $500K, even $500, like, just something.
But it goes back to,
and that's pennies to him.
It goes back to, like, we don't know their situation. Like, you don't know how
and
many times
I do see it as, because if I was Dr. Dre, you know, I see it as like, well, shit. I mean, you shouldn't have did what you did, and just because I got money don't mean it's yours. It's my money.
My thing is, a lot of people think about it like this. Well, okay, this person has money and they're tied to the family, so that means the family has money. But like, it's not like that all the time.
Yeah, no. You know just because one person got money don't mean everybody got it.
And then like, we also don't know how many times he's had to do this before. How many times?
But that's the thing. He's been helping her out prior to this, and it was never an issue. It only became an issue when she started to talk about him in the media. And I don't know the specifics on like if he asked her not to, or if it was like her bashing him in the media. But
you have to
just the it's the principle.
You have to be respectful of people,
especially if you're taking somebody's money. Yeah, I mean, not saying you should be kissing ass, but like at least respect their wishes. Like they are respectful. Providing for you, you know?
You have to. There's a certain level of respect that comes along with that.
And it's your dad, but like, damn, like it's her dad. That's kind of fucked up, you know?
But it might be for lesson purposes.
But she's 35 years old.
Hey, sometimes people don't get it until that time.
And she has 4 kids, sometimes dude. And her kids are staying with her friends.
Sometimes people
He ain't even take the kids in. He don't want shit to do with the kids.
He ain't fucking with them at all. That's crazy.
I don't know, man. I am very, like, divided with this topic because I feel like if I were a parent and I had that type of money, there's no way, even if my child was talking about me in the media, like there's no way that I would just let them be homeless, especially with my grandkids.
From like a future parent perspective, I do understand that though.
Yeah, I don't think I would have it in me to just have them out on the street because we've seen how fucking bad it is.
Because if it were me though, it's like, you know, I could be mad, but like you're still my kid. So like, and I mean, I know that's
and knowing that I have
like, that doesn't matter, but like it kind of does because nobody wants to see their kid just, you know, fucked up. You know?
Exactly. Like knowing that I have the power to at least help in this situation or something like that. Like I would,
even if I'm not, or like
exactly. You know? Even if I'm not like directly handing my child money, like. Okay, well, if you need to stay with me for, you know, a couple weeks, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, to get yourself back on your feet, like, whatever it takes.
Definitely.
But, I don't know.
But it's also always important to understand that nobody's obligated to do anything.
Nobody's
obligated to...
And that's my whole thing. People feel like it's an obligation.
Yeah, nobody's obligated to do anything. I mean,
just like kids buying their parents,
you know
houses. So, like, if you made it big and you know, had the means to buy your family or your parents a house or whatever, would you do so? I
mean, out of my kindness, yeah. If that was what I was feeling.
But you don't feel like you're obligated to. It's not like a requirement, but you would do it because that's what you wanted.
Yeah. Okay. And that's how it should be. Because
I wouldn't.
Nobody's, like I said, nobody's obligated to do anything, especially once you're of legal age. Like once you're an adult, like it's a completely different ballgame. You know,
right? I mean? Yeah, and I mean, I'm gonna look out for the people that have always looked out for me. I'm gonna look out for my friends because my friends are like my family.
Definitely.
And you know, I have certain family members who, you know, they know who they are. But I definitely don't think it's an obligation. I don't think that anybody has to provide just because they can.
Yeah, no.
Like,
because like it's like I said,
I worked for this money, you know.
It's like I said, most times,
because he did.
A good bit of the time, people are given certain resources, and it may not always be the best resources, but they're given.
Yeah, but you would think
resources to some capacity.
His kids would be set up for like some major success.
Definitely, but again, it's like.
But then again, it really just depends because a lot of celebrity kids don't like to like dick ride off of their parents.
There's that,
and their name.
A lot of people don't want to be stuck in their shadow.
And the fortune.
A lot of people don't want to.
Yeah, because they want to branch out and create their own empire.
And then a lot of them just end up getting straight up lazy, and then they just don't want to
fall off. Yeah. It's a double-edged sword. It can go either way. And now we're gonna transition into today's case.
The thick of things.
This one's wild. So since it's kind of confusing and like everything is interconnected in some way, we're gonna break this up into a few parts.
Yay!
So let's get into this because there's a lot to unpack with this, and we're gonna start with part 1.
So we're going to get into Christina White. To start off this puzzle of a case, the string of events to take place began when a 12-year-old girl went missing. This girl was Christina White. Oh.
Yeah.
Damn. I hate when kids go missing because,
I hate when kids are involved, period.
Yeah. April 1979, 12-year-old Christina lived with her mom, Betty, and her stepfather, Mick.
It's a weird name, Mick.
The family lived in, I don't know.
I think it's Asotin. Asotin?
We're just going to say Asotin, Washington. This region was known to be part of the Lewiston and Clarkston Valley, a.k.a. the Lewis-Clark Valley. Are you familiar with that at all?
I'm not, actually. Those listeners or viewers who don't know, I am from Washington State. I was born and raised out there, but
Golden State, baby.
Huh? You said what?
The Golden State, baby.
What you mean? But yeah, I'm just not familiar with Lewis-Clark Valley. Definitely think that's above Seattle, probably. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know anything about any of that.
Because a lot of where most of the people live is in the bottom left corner of Washington, and then it's mountains and trees and shit everywhere. So there's small cities and shit surrounding, right. But the bulk of everybody is in one little corner of the state.
That's interesting because I didn't even think of it like that. I thought they were just spread out all over the state.
Yeah, if you look at the map of Washington State, look where Seattle is, Tacoma, the big cities, they're all grouped together. But then you have Spokane, then you have Bellingham, and then you have these little places that are spread out. Yeah, the Gorge, and you have places that are spread out. So
okay. The day she went missing was Saturday, April 28th. She attended the how you say it again?
Asotin, I don't know.
County parade with her mom and little sister. After the parade, the three went to Christina's friend's house on 2nd Street, and her friend's name was Rose, by the way.
Mm-hmm. So Christina had her bike with her, and it was a white 10-speed with a basket on the front.
Okay.
I don't know what that is. I don't know anything about bikes.
In short, she gave up. She riding good.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Because I gave up any talk about bikes back in elementary school.
Yeah, no, I can't ride a bike either, but that's not
the point. Fun fact. Neither one of us know how to ride a bike.
That's not the point here.
Yeah. So, and we don't plan to learn either. There's really no point at this point, point in our lives. So Christina planned to head to the fair later with Rose, and she wanted to help Rose with her horse, then ride her bike back home.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, she just wanted to be there for her friend.
Yeah.
And once Christina, her mom, and her sister arrived at Rose's house, Betty dropped her off and waited to see her enter the house, as you should. Honestly, guys, not even when it comes down to kids and stuff,
friends,
family, anybody, make sure they get in the house. Yeah, it's nothing to wait 2 seconds to see if somebody makes it inside.
It's so interesting because people that I've hung around and people that, in my family, we do that all the time. We always wait till somebody gets in the house, and I thought that was just a normal thing, but people really don't do that.
Yeah, people don't. No, I've met countless people that'll just drive off. Now I have met some people that are they go out their way to, even if I don't really know them that well, it just shows their character too. But my friend Gabby used to give me rides home from work every day, and because I was on the way to her house, and she would always, it never failed, every time would make sure that I get in the house. Would never drive off. And I would be in the house, and I would wave at the door and everything. I would be literally in the house, peeking out the window, and she'll still be sitting out there for a couple of seconds.
And that's good though, because what if something were to happen?
Exactly. And I appreciate her so much for it, because not everybody does that. Yeah. It's crazy. So, yeah, shout out to you, Gabby, if you're listening. Oh yeah, okay. So then, after watching Christina enter the home, Betty and her other daughter decided to head home themselves. So the two girls then went on their way to the fair, and at this time it was coming up on 2:30 p.m.
And to continue, soon after, Kristina started to feel unwell. She decided to head to another friend's house to make a call to her mom to pick her up. This friend's name was Clint, and he lived only a few blocks from Kristina's house. Oh, that's kind of cool, though.
Now, this is kind of, like, shady, because doing the research, it was very unclear if she went back to Clint's house or Rose's house. In an article that I read, it brought up a friend named Clint, and that's the house that she went back to because Rose was at the fair with her horse still. Right. So why would she go to Rose's house if Rose isn't even
Rose
there?
Ain't there, yeah.
Exactly.
Unless like, she's cool with the parents, but I don't think.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure she was. Right. But then in another article that I read, it was talking about how she was at Rose's house. Like, she went back to Rose's. So, I don't know. And that Rose was home. But that doesn't make sense if Rose was at the fair. So, yeah, that's unclear. Yeah. Okay. But it makes the most sense if it was Clint. Because why would she go back to Rose's house if Rose isn't even there? Yeah. And how could Rose have, like, been there and witnessed anything if, you know, she was at the fair? So, yeah, continue.
Exactly. However, when she called Betty, Betty had her hands tied and did not have access to the car. So, she was not able to pick up Kristina. At this point, Kristina decided to wait until she felt a little bit better.
Yeah, and the reason why Betty was so calm about this, even though her daughter was feeling unwell, and the reason why, like, Kristina wasn't freaking out is because she believed she was just having, like, heat exhaustion, and she's had it before.
Right, so you thought it was just a normal thing.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so her mom always tells her to, like, put a cold rag over her head whenever she's having, like, heat exhaustion. And so that's what she was planning on doing was, you know, to go back to a friend's house, get a cold rag, and just, like, sit low, you know, lay low for a couple of minutes.
Just relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Because she could have had a heat stroke.
Yes, exactly.
Per her mother's instructions, she told her to call again before heading home. That way, she could keep an eye out for Kristina as she would be walking or riding her bike home. Kristina was precisely only 7 blocks away from her home.
Yeah, it's pretty damn close.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking close.
And also, they lived, like, at the end of a cul-de-sac, so...
okay.
Yeah, so her mom would have easily been able to go to the end of the block or the driveway, and she was able to see... If she was coming from the direction she was supposed to be coming from, she would have been able to see Kristina 2 blocks away.
Right.
So she would have been able to see her well ahead of time. So technically, Kristina would have only had to walk 5 blocks by herself or, like, unattended.
Right.
Which, honestly, I mean, that is kind of a long walk, but not for a 12-year-old, I feel like.
Nah, I feel like 12-year-olds, like...
I feel like you should have that type of freedom, like, to be able to walk, like, a couple blocks away.
Yeah. And it's nice to see that they at least had a system. Like, call me before you head at home so I'll know to be on the lookout or have the door unlocked. So, I mean...
And definitely, And honestly, I feel like this is what kind of kickstarted everything to work out as quickly as it did.
Yeah.
Because... Think about it. Like, if she was just like, all right, you know, we'll just be home. Or think about if she wasn't even home, if Betty wasn't home. Like, she would have never known. She wouldn't have found out till later that Kristina is, like, nowhere to be found, you know?
Yeah. But Kristina never called her mother back. At first, Betty assumed her daughter had returned back to the fair. So when she finally had access to the car, she headed to the fair to pick up Kristina. And Kristina was not there.
Yeah. So she went all the way to the fair and was looking around there.
That's a fucking scary feeling.
To see. Mm-hmm.
And I don't even have kids, but I can just imagine, like, you know.
Just aimlessly looking around for your kid, yeah.
Amongst like a sea of people, so you're already getting super anxious, and it's like...
Right. No, definitely. Yeah. Okay. Just making sure. So, someone's first instinct would be to think that she had ran away. But no one believed she had ran away. Everyone who knew Kristina would say that it wasn't like her to do so or to even, like, think about it or talk about it. So that would be the last thing that they would suspect, you know, from her. And
it definitely goes into that I know my child thing, but I feel like in this intuition. And I feel like in this instance, like, she knew her kid, like,
yeah,
you know?
Definitely. So, Clint's stepfather aided police in their search efforts to find Kristina, claiming he hadn't seen her since she last left their home. And, so he was the last person to see her, but the reason being is supposedly, allegedly, he was the one to actually give her a cold rag, to put on her head.
Right.
So since Clint's stepfather was the last person to see Christina, investigators were I said that right. Investigators were looking into him regardless of his help. The same can be said for Christina's stepfather as well.
Which, I mean, understandably so.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
If I were the police, I'd probably be looking after them, too. I'd be like, who are you again? Right. Are you the stepdad? Okay.
What's her name again? How old is she?
Yeah, exactly. So, Clint's stepfather lived with Clint and his mom, but he also had another house.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was vacant and located right between the friends' homes. So somewhere between those 7 blocks was where his vacant home was. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Creepy, ain't it?
Yep.
So based on the man's work records, Clint's stepdad was not at work at all the day Christina disappeared. So no alibi. Nobody could account for him anywhere.
This don't look too
Supposedly
good,
he
buddy.
was just home all day while everybody's out at the fair. But all right. Had to have been a nice day. People riding bikes at the fair and stuff.
Why would you not go?
Why would you not be out?
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
interesting, sir.
Right. Investigators noted the vacant home had an unfinished basement that later had concrete poured all over it. There was no way to confirm if this was connected to anything suspicious, but...
It sounds suspicious.
Right. Yeah, but then again, if the basement was unfinished, I mean, I could see why eventually you're going to pour concrete in it.
Yeah, true enough.
But also,
timing.
That's perfect timing if you do have an unfinished basement and you do some shit.
Yeah.
Obviously, people are expecting you to pour concrete into it, so it wouldn't be seen as odd for you to be working with concrete at that time.
Yep.
It all makes sense. Because of their suspicions, the sheriff of Asotin took cadaver dogs to the home and a ground-penetrating radar, hoping to find her. So they was drilling that bit, trying to get in there.
They was with it.
Yeah. And however, nothing was found, and they had to dismiss their suspicions with no further evidence to go off of. Christina had just simply vanished at this point. And... that's literally it. There's no motive. There's no leads. There's literally no witnesses. Nothing.
That's scary.
Just disappeared off the face of the planet.
That is fucking scary as hell.
Yeah.
And shit like that just be happening.
And you just saw your daughter.
Yeah, literally a couple hours before. This reminds me of the Honey
case. Yes, she just saw her daughter. That shit just kills me. Cause what? No, I'm not about to cry. Shut up. It's just crazy, though. Because it's fuck.
But you know what else?
You don't know, when things can happen.
Yeah, no.
Which is why I kind of agree with that saying, don't go to bed angry or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you really don't know. Somebody could bust in your house while you're asleep and get you.
Bitch up.
Yeah, okay, babe. Damn. We lit right now. It's let me stop.
Look at you. All right, guys. So this is the part where we thank our sponsors. We'll see you soon.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's free and it's easy to use.
There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast straight from your phone or computer, making it the best user experience around.
Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more, making it so you don't have to upload to each individual platform.
And the best thing about it, you can make money straight from your podcast with no minimum listenership.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
So please, download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. And that's anchor.fm, spelled ANCHOR.FM.
So what are you doing? Download the free Anchor app now.
Now we're into part 2. Kristen David. She's a 22-year-old University of Idaho senior. And she disappeared. Oh, fuck. In Idaho?
Yeah.
Christina called her mom, Sally, on June 25th, 1981. She told her she was going to ride her bike from Moscow to Lewiston. The next day, Christina had planned to leave around 10 or 11 a.m. Kristen even assured Sally that she would be home in time to get to work later in the day.
I found this interesting that there's another bike involved.
Yeah.
It seems like somebody's just targeting people on bikes.
Why would I ride them? Well.
But I wonder where Moscow is. When I heard Moscow, I was like, Russia? Huh? How you ride the bike from Russia to... Let me stop. Let me shut up. Because that sounds dumb. But I was like, wait. Moscow? That is in Russia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Moscow? Like, what? But I'm wondering if Moscow is in Washington or if it's in Idaho. Probably Idaho.
Yeah, that sounds like some Idaho shit.
How? Why?
I don't know. It just don't sound like Washington shit.
Interesting.
The next day at 6 p.m., Kristen's sister received a call from Kristen's job. Kristen had never shown up for work. Oh, shit.
And when your job calling, that's how you know it's bad. When they're calling your emergency contact.
Yeah. Oof.
That's not a good time. Think about it.
Yeah.
It's your emergency contact.
Yeah, like,
if they cannot get a hold of you. But honestly, when I hear about this in cases, jobs that do that, like, they deserve a round of applause, like a golden ticket, something.
Looking out, right?
Exactly, because I'm just thinking about it, like, you know, in the past, like in high school or whatever, I've had a lot of jobs, and, you know, I've had, like, a time or two where I've, like, no call, no showed, and, like, they don't even bother to call or, you know, like... to see if I'm okay. Something could have happened. I could have got hit by a car.
Honestly,
like,
I think it's because people take people being alive for granted a lot. So they just expect... I mean,
but also people, that's not their first instinct.
Right. They just expect people to be like, oh, yeah, they're going to show up.
Because not everybody's going to just assume the worst.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just thinking back on that, and it's like, damn, like, some people work for good companies, and, like, I feel like... I just haven't had that luxury, unfortunately. I've worked for some pretty, interesting companies. And it's just mind-boggling to know that if something was wrong with me or I had disappeared, like, who would have found out and when?
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's kind of scary.
It's a scary thought, but...
And you have to, like, rely on that.
There's times where I've been just thinking, like, what if I were to disappear? Like, who would... who would be the one that, you know?
Exactly. Who would notice, you know? Like, who would be the main one, you know? Like, going out there and trying to find you and getting the word out there. Yeah, it's something you don't want to have to think about, but it's interesting to put it in perspective. And kind of, in a sense, it could help you figure out who is necessary in your life. Yeah. And who is important and who matters. Because... you know, there's just a lot of people that wouldn't be. I don't want to get in it. I don't want no personal dealings. That's not somebody that cares about you.
It's like, what do you mean you don't want to get involved? Like, you actively told this person you cared about them, and like this and that. But like, if something happens to them, you don't want to get involved. What does that mean? Yeah. Like, you know,
all my so-called friends and family or whoever, whatever you claim me as. If I end up missing, I would hope that somebody would be looking for me. I would hope that y'all would care. That's a shitty feeling if nobody does.
Because just imagine,
like, damn, I'm just gone and nobody... And the thing about it is, with me specifically, like, I know for a fact, don't nobody check up on me. Nobody. And I'm going to say that. Like, nobody checks up on me. And... Huh?
I could name a few.
No, we're not about to name drop. Wait, you trying to get canceled before we get started? Shit. Anyway, but no, like, I know that there's people that just don't check up on me. And so people that should check up on me and should be of importance in my life and that I check up on. But see, that's just me. I like to check up on everybody because I'm this type of bitch that's like all into the true crime.
That's my thing. Like, being a decent human isn't hard, but like a lot of people don't show that same decency. You know what I mean?
It's a rare commodity these days.
Yeah.
But I just know that, you know, there's people that like claim to be your friend or claim to care about you or I miss you or whatever, and it's really not the case, because if they did, they would actually reach out. And you know,
because it's like, do you miss me or do you miss the things that I could do for you?
Yes,
because a lot of people are very,
or filling the void of no company.
Exactly, a lot of people are very like utilitarian with their feelings, and they don't even realize it themselves. But like when you get down to it and you actually look at it, it's like,
and it's very toxic. It can be very toxic, but it can also be, it could be an okay thing, because sometimes you just need to give people their space, and sometimes that's people's wishes, and you just have to respect that. But for me, no, I'm not one of those. Like, check up on me.
Like, I'm still alive.
And if you don't, and then you decide to check up on me when I make it big, who are you?
With this info, her family immediately went to the authorities. Her family explained to the police that this behavior is not normal for Kristen at all. But because of Kristen's age, law enforcement wasn't too concerned or interested in the family's plea for help. And this is something that I really have a problem with, because usually when there are missing person cases in terms of like adults, they don't care. Like they literally brush it off and then nothing comes out.
Not at all, because you're an adult.
Yeah, I don't even remember like the statistics behind it, but I know it's like a lot of people, and this happens like a lot throughout every year.
Yes.
People go missing and like they never follow through with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Like,
it's not seen as urgent, because as an adult, you do have free range and you can just leave without saying anything. But I think what should change about it is trusting the families, trusting people that are close to these individuals, because they know these individuals best.
Right.
And if they're telling you that my daughter is not, she's just not going to do something, like she's not just going to disappear and not say anything, you should listen to their family and to their friends, because it would just save a lot of time, a lot of energy for a lot of people, and a lot of heartache for a lot of people if it were more of an alert, it was something of more importance.
Because I look at it like this: like if it were those cops, if it were those like different people, they would be on the fences, like trying to find their family members.
Exactly. And also, don't believe that lie that police stations or whatever, I don't even know who tells you that type of stuff, detectives, or phone dispatch. But when they tell you that you have to wait 48 hours to report somebody missing, you don't.
Yeah, no, you don't at all. You literally go with.
They advise that because somebody could, turn up. But you don't have to. And now, there's some that just won't allow you to, like, even though, it's not like a rule or a law against it. Some just will straight up tell you, like, no, let's give it more time.
Right.
But you can fight for that, and you can say, like, hey, at least do a welfare check on this person.
No,
like, and if they don't come up, then you need to immediately file them as missing. Seriously. Because you're wasting time. Like, you're literally wasting time.
If you care about your people, man, look out for them. That's all I can tell you.
As soon as somebody's missing, every second counts. Every minute, literally, like, shit happens fast.
Yeah, because within that 48 hours, you don't know. Like,
Yeah, and even this window, from 10 or 11 a.m. till 6 p.m. till 6 p.m. the next day.
That's
6 p.m. the next day. Yeah, only because she didn't show up to work.
Right.
That's just wild.
Again, kudos to her coworkers or bosses or whoever. Like, call
I agree.
Jesus.
I agree.
Since Kristen was an adult, she had the right to disappear without telling anyone, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't report it.
Yeah. And that's kind of what we just had a tangent about.
Yeah.
To continue on, with the dismissal from police, her family conducted their own search, and highly advise that if you're not getting the proper help that you think you deserve. Like,
get them together and go look. Like,
and honestly, sometimes that's more successful than going to the police. Exactly. Not gonna lie. So that same evening, they walked roads that Kristen would have likely taken, which equated to a 30-plus mile range.
Damn.
They were out there.
Adamantly.
Dude, a mile. Just one is enough.
I'm not saying that police ain't helpful, but hey, man, this shit don't look good.
I mean, yeah, but that's because she wasn't officially missing. So what are they going to do? They've got their hands tied with other stuff. So definitely not a priority for them.
Right.
But I'm glad that they didn't try to, like, stop them, though. And, well, you guys are going to freak out the community. Like, you guys need to take it somewhere else. I'm glad that they actually allowed them to, create their own team and their go search by themselves. Because they weren't going to do it. Somebody had to. So they searched ditches and empty buildings along the way, but there was still no sign of her or her bike.
Damn.
Yeah, so the bike was missing and her. Yeah. 25th of June, farmer James Archibald was on Highway 95, and he came out and told police he saw a brown van with Oregon plates on it.
Oh, wow.
The Oregonians. It's like, let me stop. No, these people in Oregon are...
interesting.
Yeah, they're very interesting, but there's some scary folks out here.
Yeah.
These folks are crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean that in like every sense of
the
word. Not even try to like target anybody.
It's a very holistic meaning.
Or put anybody in a box. Literally, just every sense of the word. Yeah. So, yeah. It was parked alongside of the road, and he saw a man exit the van, then walk to the back of the van, where he saw a woman with blonde hair lying on the ground. She had a bike with her, and the back wheel was still spinning.
Oh, he got that bitch fresh out the road.
Yeah, this is what the farmer witnessed.
Right.
This is what he told police. Account. Yes. So Archibald noted that it looked as if the male driver had rammed her on the side, like while she was riding her bike, and he just veered into her type deal. And the unknown woman was not moving at all when he went by. He also said that the man was smiling when he walked past the car as well.
That's not creepy at all, huh?
Yeah. So man was just over there looking extra happy, like he didn't caught his catch of the day.
Right.
Which is very suspicious, especially when you have somebody laying on the ground behind your car
with their bike
spinning. Like clearly it had to have been like knocked over or something. If the wheel is spinning, it's not going to spin on the ground straight up, you know?
Right.
Well, I mean it does. That's how a bike rides. But you get what I'm saying? Like it was just loosely spinning by itself.
Cut that out.
When Archibald returned home, he called the paramedics, but when they arrived to the scene, there was no man, no van, no bike or woman.
What the fuck?
Just fucking gone.
It goes into that shit. You know how like when you tell somebody something and then they come and check it out, and it's like,
and then you sit there looking wild and crazy because you're like, no, I swear, it happens all the time.
And then you're like looking crazy,
and they're like,
okay,
and you're like, well, this is the one time it doesn't happen. Yeah, I've been there many times.
Yeah. So to continue, law enforcement got a description of the mysterious man and the van from Archibald. But from this gained absolutely no leads.
Had a whole description. The car, the man. Like, what else would you need, you know? And the location. I'm sure he could even tell him, like, which direction the man was headed by what side of the road he was on.
And here we go with another
But it still led to nothing.
Another example. You know what? Archibald had described the man as 25 to 35 years of age, under 6 foot, and approximately 150 pounds. They were even able to produce a sketch from his statements. So you mean?
Oh yeah, and I think I've seen the sketch and it's pretty damn creepy if I'm thinking correctly. Let me see. Because I think I've seen his sketch before and it looks very familiar. Right there.
But what the fuck?
That's the sketch. Yeah.
But what the fuck?
Ain't that creepy looking? So that's the sketch, and that's...
You know what? I think you'd be a sketch artist. I think you could do
Me?
it.
Oh, no. Hell
I think you could do it.
No, okay, so the thing about sketch artists... No, the thing about sketch artists is they literally are drawing based off of what you're describing. So they're not allowed to make like artist decisions or anything. Like they have to precisely.
To the T, huh?
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Man, have you seen some of these sketches?
And so no, exactly.
Have you seen them? Look.
We gonna throw some funny sketches up. But if you're watching this on YouTube, but no, the reason why some look so wild is because
that's all you got. Oh, that's hilarious.
They only got so much detail, so they just gotta compromise.
It's funny because I didn't think about that, and now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, wow, yeah. They only have a couple of things to go. Exactly. Like the Zodiac.
So it really just depends on the witness.
Like the Zodiac Killer sketch looks funny to me, and like the Night Stalker sketch looks funny to me.
And it also, like, think about it. It depends on the angle they were looking at the person. Like literally everything. Yeah. They could have just got like a quick glimpse of this person. So they're literally just going off of their memory, and sometimes they forget stuff.
Yeah,
like that's just that. But we're gonna pop the sketch up here because
I think it's important.
It looks like a Bape shirt. That's what he.
Yeah,
he looks like the Bape logo.
It's important to note that memory is very flawed when it comes to stuff like this.
Yes, and it's very subjective.
Yeah.
Also, because we could go through the same exact event and remember it completely differently.
Exactly.
So keep that in mind.
July 4th. Not very much longer after it even started, the police search for Kristen was officially called off.
Right. So they were finally able to get the police in on it, but it didn't last for long.
Of course.
Well, there's a reason why.
I don't know, man. I know.
It's not that they chose to call it off. They got called off for a good reason.
Yeah, that's just me hating authority. Like, I just know. A man was fishing at Snake River when he noticed something strange floating in the water. It was a trash bag.
When you got a random trash bag anywhere, it is not a good sign. Don't look in it. Yeah, anything. Well, I mean, by all means, look at it if you want to.
At your own risk. I'm not touching it. I don't know I
don't know. I'd be scared of what I would find in there. Because what if you do come across some weird stuff?
Yeah, I've always had.
I would be scared.
I've always had a thought like,
what if you came across a dead body? Me too.
What do I do?
No, me too. Like, I would honestly be scared.
Do I close it or do I just report?
Well, see, my thing is, I would be scared for multiple reasons. Yeah. Because for one, it's just it's a deceased body. Yeah. Like, I've never seen one in real life. I've never been to a funeral.
And I know it's gross.
I hope it stays that way. But yeah, I've never been to a funeral, so I'm not too keen on the deceased. I'm not comfortable with that. And so
throwing up though. Definitely.
No, I think I would literally just be scared. I have this fear, and this happened because when I was staying with my mom, like in middle school, we had like a couple of cats, and one of them had passed away. And my mom was like really attached to this cat. It was like her son. He was like a Russian blue. He was super cute, and I miss him. But anyway, so when he passed away, because he had gotten hit by a car, when he passed away, she, like literally right outside the house too, she brought him back inside, put him inside of like a basket with some blankets, and just left him just sitting in the living room. Oh yeah. Just like uncovered, just sitting there.
Talk about attachment.
And like I had to like walk past it in the morning, like before school and stuff. And like so me
smell good.
No, but like you know how I am. Like I freak myself out over the tiniest shit. And so I would be like running past this cat corpse,
you ran?
Well, yeah, because we had like a shotgun living room. So like, okay. So my bedroom door was right here, and the living room's literally like the shape of a rectangle. I'm supposed to say a triangle. Okay. And then like the bathroom's on the other end of the house. Yeah, so I had to walk. Like it's not a square. It's a rectangle. Like you gotta walk through that bit. Like, and so I had to walk past him. Every day. I don't even remember how long he was there for, but it felt like a long ass time. And I just remember being so freaked out because I was scared that it would just like wake up, or he would come back to life, or like attack me. And so I feel like if I saw an actual deceased body, it would be something along the lines of that for me. But yeah, so I just remember that very vividly. It was not a good time. So I just know that if I were to see an actual deceased person, it would just be a whole nother thing for me. And
I've seen a few, and
it's
an interesting thing. It's
so
scary.
Is grandma.
It's scary as fuck, honestly.
We need to get grandma on the podcast.
It's very humbling, also.
Yeah.
But
I can only imagine.
It definitely is a scary sight to see.
I feel like it's almost as breathtaking as seeing a child coming to this world.
Yeah.
As like mind blowing it is to see life come to life.
Yeah, it's definitely.
I feel like it would be the same thing. Like even to see somebody pass away.
It's
like,
definitely in that same breath because
I think that's the only thing you can compare.
I've actually seen like my great grandfather take his last breath, and that was interesting.
It's scary.
It's one of those standstill moments because it's like
what now? What's next?
Yeah, like seeing that is very interesting because like being a human and like seeing someone that's not lifeless that you used to see like with life every day it's very
jarring. Yeah, for sure. And another reason why I would be scared shitless is because if you find a dead body, I mean, depending on how fresh the body is, the person that did it might still be around. And even if it's not like freshly deceased. Like, even if it's already in decom, a lot of killers go back to where it took place or wherever the body is. And just, like, me knowing that I'm like, oh, shit, like, I see this shit. Like, I'm right here. What if somebody watching me? Like, that's what I would be thinking about. So, I think that's just my paranoid side. I'm real paranoid.
It's definitely understandable. I mean, I've seen, and even in, like, film, like, I've seen it. Like, there's this movie, Super Dark Times, where these kids, like...
Oh, I think I've seen that.
Yeah, we watched it together, where these kids...
Damn, you always calling me out on shit we done seen together, and I always forget. Wow.
Oh, you see?
Time flies.
But I'm not going to spoil the whole movie, but in short, like, an event happens, and... it gets revisited. I'll say it like that. If you ever
I think I remember. Okay.
If you want to check it out, definitely look for it. But
and we liked it, didn't we?
Yeah. We tend to like pretty
lower budget too, but it was still good.
Yeah.
I don't remember the details, but I remember that title.
Right. So to continue here, he fished it out and decided to open it. Inside was a headless torso and a leg, both neatly wrapped in newspaper. So sounds like a butcher, because why the fuck? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I know we keep, like, breaking off into tangents, but I feel like that's just necessary with this case. Just to kind of get in it, you know? Yeah. Like, put your fingers in the dirt. Put your toes in the sand. Because with this, you really have to be...
in that.
In a certain mindset. And you really got to be just hyper-focused. Because there's a lot of details that link it all together. Like, literally. So, yeah. And it's just quite wild, honestly. So, after this alarming discovery, the man looked around for more bags containing more parts. About 75 yards downstream, he found another bag with more remains inside. You go looking, and you start finding.
You look for what you're looking for.
Yes. He then called police after his discoveries, but since it was so late by the time he called, law enforcement could not go down to the river to investigate until the next morning. Sounds kind of familiar, right? Yeah. Still no urgency when it comes down to this woman.
See, this is why I said what I said earlier.
Yeah. But like I said, there's still no urgency when it comes down to... And, like, I don't know. How you get failed... Probably while you're alive, and then also, like, after
postpartum, like...
Yeah, after the fact. Like, it's just...
Postpartum.
Wow.
Jesus.
Sucks. 3 more bags were found containing a dismembered head, arms, and part of another leg. All of which were tightly wrapped in the same newspaper. And all bags were found in a 6-mile region along the river. So, they were just going and dropping, going and dropping, going and dropping.
This reminds me of...
one that recently happened where the kids found the suitcases off of TikTok. Off of Randonautica. They were randonauting in Washington, and they found the body, the luggages that washed up on shore containing the bodies. That,
and I remember a coworker from a while ago telling me about this old lady that used to poison people, and the only way she got caught was she had poisoned this one lady, but she dismembered her also, but there's a camera footage that caught her carrying the body off, so she got caught. And she had been doing it. She'd been doing it for I think 15 years at this point.
What the hell? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are just, it's just wild. Just wild.
Unbelievable, bro. Okay, so we're gonna get into part 3. The murders of Christina Nelson and Brandy Miller, and the disappearance of Steven Pearsall.
Yes. I wonder if it's Parasol or, like you said, Parasol. Maybe it is Parasol. That sounds more correct.
I don't know. Christina and Brandy and Steven. 21-year-old Christina and her 18-year-old stepsister Brandy were both students at Lewis Clark State College. Christina worked at the Lewiston Civic Center, and Brandy would often participate in events held there. September 12th, 1982, Brandy and Christina were planning to do laundry, then head over to the grocery store together.
Oh, you want to know what grocery store they were going to?
What's that?
I think it was a Safeway.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Everybody always be going to Safeway. Even with Lisa Al, she went to Safeway.
I mean, damn.
We're always at Safeway.
Yeah.
Safeway or Rite Aid.
Yeah.
That's where you catch us at.
And if you don't know what Safeway is, it's
a grocery store. It's like Albertsons. Anything else?
Yeah.
That's like a big chain grocery store.
Yep. If you're not
But it's popular in the PNW. Yeah. Specifically.
Records show that Christina talked to her boyfriend at around 8:30 p.m. The two then left him a note right before heading out. The note ensured their quick return. The two women never returned home, though. And the following day, Christina's boyfriend reported both of the women missing to the Lewiston police.
Only a few hours after those reports were made, another missing persons report was filed. 35-year-old Steven Pearsall. I'm going to say Parasol. It sounds right. Steven worked as the janitor at Lewiston Civic Theater. So you got Christina and Brandy, who are stepsisters. They both work and frequent at the Civic Center. And then you have Steven, who was the janitor at the Civic Center. So keep that in mind. Steven was friends with Brandy and Christina, and a lot of people said he was like a big brother to the two. So they were all very close. Knew each other, very comfortable with each other. And on the 12th, he went to a party with his girlfriend. And so this was the same day that Brandy and Christina went out and were never seen again. So around midnight, his girlfriend dropped him off at the theater, and Steven enjoyed being at the theater even on his days off. That was kind of just his thing, especially because his plan was to go to the theater that night to practice the clarinet. And I could see why he wanted to go to the theater because, I mean, you can be loud, so...
Sounds better. You can hear the acoustics of your clarinet.
Well, and it's a theater, so you kind of get that little feel like you're by yourself.
Close your eyes, and it's like, ooh, I'm performing in front of X amount of people.
Yeah, exactly. And you can kind of just, let loose and, just play and practice. And he was really into playing his clarinet as well. It was kind of like his little prized possession.
To continue, his girlfriend watched him enter the theater, as well as an officer nearby who was on patrol in the area. Police immediately thought that Steven was responsible for Christina and Brandy's disappearances, then fleeing to avoid getting caught.
Oh. And that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because how you disappear on the same night that these two disappeared, that
right,
work at the same
you guys
place.
Are practically family.
Well, I don't know.
I mean,
I don't know how close they were.
Assuming, they did, so they were kind of close-knit.
I mean, yeah. If everybody said he was like a big brother, I guess, they probably did look at him as family. But even then, somebody that you're close to and everybody's just disappearing one by one, it's kind of suspicious. Mm-hmm. And so I could see why police thought that Steven was responsible right off the bat, because it makes sense. I mean, he was the last person there, and not saying that Christina and Brandy were there, but it is a place that they all know. They all know each other. Mm-hmm. So it could have been a meetup spot even,
Right. Police ended up doing a thorough search of the theater. They saw no signs of any struggle, though, and Steven's clarinet was left behind.
No Steven, just a clarinet.
Oof. Detectives decided to talk to Steven's friends for any clues. After doing so, they concluded there was no way he had anything to do with Christina and Brandy's disappearances.
Yeah, and honestly, if I were a detective within this case, just from finding his clarinet and knowing that it was something that was so important to him, I would have been like, all right, let's bring the guys. Let's investigate this further. Let's tape it off. This is clearly a crime scene.
Right.
Because even if he did have something to do with it, why would he leave his clarinet? For one, that just leaves DNA, that leaves... proof that you were there, whether he knew the cop was watching him or not. I mean, the cop also saw you there. But the thing about it is I don't know. That's something that was important to him. Whether he was doing a crime or not, he had, I'm sure, a bag with him.
Right, or a case or something.
Yeah, of course you're going to take it with you.
Especially with that being his prized possession. Steven wasn't violent and even had left his car parked at a friend's house.
And it was still parked there. Oh. It never left.
Never left, huh?
So, if he did have something to do with their disappearances, how's he going to get away?
Right.
Without his car. And his girlfriend had dropped him off, so he would have obviously needed her to pick him back up. Or a friend or somebody,
Mm-hmm. Police then searched his home, and still nothing. At this point, police knew he didn't leave by choice and had reason to believe foul play. Police uncovered another employee present at the theater on the night of the 12th.
a lot was happening this night. That's just crazy. And they're all linked. They all know each other.
It's just wild how events can, like...
unfold. Yeah. And you just don't even expect shit to, like, go the way it does sometimes. Right. So crazy enough, this employee was the same man police had suspected to be involved in Christina White's disappearance in Washington. Oh, yeah. Oh, wait. We already knew Asselton was in Washington. The police interviewed the suspect, and his story went as follows. He arrived at the theater at 6 p.m., and around 7:30 p.m., Steven arrived for work, then had departed at 9 p.m. And this is all from his witness account of saying, yeah, I saw Steven here, you know. Mm-hmm. So at 10 p.m., the suspect went to Red Baron for a few beers, and afterwards he went to the movies to see The Fog. It's interesting that that's what was in theaters at this time. But does that even make sense? If you're supposed to be at work, why would you stop movies and drink a beer?
Yeah, no, bro. Go to work. Do your job.
Exactly. So after the movie, he said he returned back to the theater, making it about 11 p.m. Now get this, too. How do you leave your job at 10 p.m., stop at a bar to drink a couple of beers, go to the movies to see a movie, and make it back at 11 p.m. when the movie's over? Hour. That doesn't even make sense. The movie wouldn't even be over.
Right. Because, first of all, you're not just going to drink a few beers and strictly leave. A lot of people stick around for a little bit.
Yeah, for a couple of minutes. You know what I'm saying? Even if you was trying to, like, hurry and get back, but you probably weren't if you're watching a movie on the clock. But the fact of the matter is, there's no way you can start and finish a movie in less than an hour. Yeah. Like, doesn't make sense. I don't know how long he spent at the bar, but you left at 10 and you got back to work at 11. There's no way you could go get a couple beers, make your way there, go get a couple beers, finish, watch a whole movie, then make it back in less than an hour. That don't make sense.
There are credits you have to watch. You have to walk there if he was walking.
Yeah,
whatever he was
anything.
Doing.
Just like buying your ticket. The movie itself would be an hour and a half probably.
In between steps.
It just doesn't make sense. So he then got back to work, but claimed he couldn't remember if he had did any work on the theater stage. He remembered heading up to the loft and into the attic, though.
Well, if you don't remember, you didn't.
Exactly, but how do you not remember and it was just a couple hours ago?
Right.
You know? He also told police he had fell through the plaster while up there and decided to head back downstairs and lay down on the couch.
Hold on, bro.
And this is where he dozed off.
So he had a concussion? Is that what you're telling me? Because...
something. But why are you sleeping on the job, too? This is really just showing his shitty work ethic.
You're doing a lot, sir. You're watching a movie. You're
time management bad. Memory bad. No work ethic. No.
How did you get this job, sir? How?
Right. Like, what?
They don't be checking?
I swear. Right. Just getting away with it.
Interesting.
Like, this must have been a regular thing for him. Right. Theater must have been right across the street.
Watching a movie at work.
And beers. Why are you drinking on the job? So police asked the suspect if he heard or saw anyone else there at this time, specifically Steven. So they're like, okay, did you see anybody there? And he was like, no. Well, did you see Steven there? He said no. But he also changed his story after. So they had like questioned him a couple times, and he ended up like changing it each time. And the times just vary, and him saying, oh, I did see Steven, or oh, he did leave, or, you know, just minute details changing throughout the course of this investigation. So we're not going to go into those other story points, but that was his main story, was what we just said. So that's kind of all the details of the night of the 12th, but the aftermath is really what creates this whole missing link story, I guess you could say. Yeah, the aftermath of the 12th is where things start to make more sense. It all starts to connect the dots. They're just... yeah.
Getting into the ending evidence. Following the tried investigations of these 5 victims, on March 19th, 1984, a teen in Kendrick, Idaho, stumbled across skeletal remains. Yeah, see, this is what we were talking about earlier. Like,
a teen, I'd be scarred for life. I mean, at least, I hate to say it like this, but at least it was skeletal and it wasn't just like a decomp body.
I mean, that's even worse, though.
Yeah, yes and no. I feel like I would rather stumble across bones as opposed to seeing just somebody there, lifeless, and like seeing whatever trauma they have endured.
I mean, there's that, but
and
like human
decomposing.
Bone, that's crazy.
And the smell, that is creepy to think about as well. But I don't know, it's just not a good experience.
Either way, it's just not nice to see.
Yeah. So the skeletal remains were discovered in an embankment near mile marker 14 on Highway 3. And I'm pretty sure that's like a main highway. I don't know. But we'll put a map up if you guys are watching this so you can see kind of the layout of everything. So, yeah.
The remains were severely decomposed. Along with the remains, the boy found personal belongings and clothes.
Yeah. And I mean, shit, they had to be severely decomp if it was skeletal,
Yeah,
like,
no, that's it. Like,
that's the end of decomp. Yeah, but the fact that he also found personal belongings and clothes, obviously not knowing if they were connected to the remains, but the fact that he noted and like told police that he found that as well, it helps. It's good.
Yeah,
good shit. He did good. He was a teenager, but he knew what he was doing.
Nice job, buddy.
Future investigator, future detective.
He might not even want to do it.
Yeah, I don't think I would after seeing this. So the remains were later identified as Christina and Brandy, and I believe they were able to conclude this through probably DNA, but also just based off of what they were wearing that day, because thankfully their personal belongings and their clothes were found. Because think about if they weren't. Like, how are you gonna identify a skeleton?
That was a DNA, because remember on another episode, we went and we looked up the year that DNA started being used, and it was like around.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's how they identified it. It could have literally like just been their clothes. Because think about it, like they were seen publicly, the boyfriend saw them earlier, Yeah. And everybody knew they were missing.
You know what their clothes look like. So.
Yep.
And then on March 22nd, 1984, Lewiston authorities brought the suspect back in for more questioning.
And this is the same suspect that was there the night of the 12th, the dude with the weird story, pretty much. Detectives said they had found Christina and Brandy's remains, to which he replied, "I guess I'm in a heap of trouble."
That's a hell of a statement.
Yeah.
Because what?
Dude, like, I can only imagine what detectives and investigators, like, deal with on the daily, but I just know they hear some very troubling things day by day.
Yeah.
And have to live with that and think about it and, like, go home and sleep on it. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
And I don't know if, like, every company, like, I don't know if all, like, PDs or, like, do this, but I know, like, with firefighters, they give them, like, free counseling for stuff like that.
I would hope they would. I think it's mandatory for jobs like that.
That's what I'm saying. I think it is.
Like, even with actors and movies, like, they, if they're acting a tough scene that's like emotionally tough, they will have it on deck. So I would only hope that for police and investigators, detectives, anybody working with a crime scene, crimes in general, I definitely think that is something that should be mandatory. And if it isn't, we need to fix that, because that's very damaging.
Yeah,
especially on the daily basis.
He then chose to change his story, but even with this inconsistency, police were unable to link him to anything. Yeah.
So not only was he changing the story about Steven and that whole encounter, when they asked about Christina and Brandy, because he worked at the same place they did, so they figured, why not, question this dude who wasn't too damn promising to begin with,
Right.
But the fact that he even changed up his story when it came down to them, it's kind of like, okay. Yeah, this dude's a little untrustworthy, to say the least.
Right.
So, we're going to dissect into the suspect, the missing link to it all. And this individual, and I'm pretty sure, because I don't know, there was some articles, but it might have been before they actually named who he was, but there were some articles who, like, didn't disclose, like, who he was, but I found out who he was. So, or who he is. But yeah, a lot of information out there didn't even say who the suspect was. Like, didn't name him. So it was hard to find, but I got it. So, and this is just based off of their findings, who they think is a part of this. So, Lance Voss, who was 36 around this time, is the police's main suspect. Pretty much because of this whole civic center ordeal. Because, like, dude, you were the last person there.
And I just can't get over the fact that he done had beer. He done went to the movie.
At the same time.
Done got a concussion. And went to sleep.
Like, took a nap. Yeah. Did it all. He literally did it all.
I'm not understanding.
Why would you go up to the attic and everything while you're... Like, you knew you just had some beers, too. Like, that's just strange. So, Lance was the primary suspect for all 5 victims. Somehow, he was connected to all of them. Fucking crazy.
Right.
He was... Okay, and now we're going to get into how he was connected to all of them. So, he was the last person to see Christina 2 years earlier... And this is because he was Clint's stepdad.
Oh.
The mysterious stepfather that was there when she wasn't feeling good that day, it was him. It was the same
The one
dude.
with the mystery house, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And he was present the night Brandy and Christina disappeared because it was the same night that Steven disappeared. And police were 99% sure they had their man, but could not take him down. Which has to be so fucking frustrating.
Yeah, no.
Like, they spoke to this dude on multiple occasions. They spoke to him. Like, probably had an inkling beforehand. Like, okay, this dude, there's something off about him, you know? And as they, you know, continue to progress in the cases and... continuing to get leads and talk to witnesses and rule out other suspects, it just kind of, you know, it kept pointing them in the right direction. Like, okay, this dude keeps popping back up.
Everything just put him back in the same spot.
Exactly. Like, hey, so they were literally like, okay, this got to be the dude, but like, how do we prove it? You know? And that's what's so frustrating about, like, the whole justice system. But at the same time, it's there for good reason. But it could also work against you, and I could see how. Even the people that are working in it can work against them.
There's so many specifics that you have to check. There's so many different boxes that have to be checked.
Yeah,
and it's all specifics. Like, it has to be specific things,
and they all got to be checked. Not 1, 2, 3, all of them.
Yeah. Fast forward to 2014. Lance was now 67 and living in North Carolina. People in this community described him, his wife, and stepson as eccentric, weird, and a little creepy. Oh, shit.
Yeah. I don't know if this is the same stepson that he was fathering, you know, around the time Christina disappeared. So I don't know if this is Clint or not.
Okay.
It didn't say. But it could be a whole nother, like, wife and son. Exactly.
So this man just...
Yep.
Interesting.
So, yeah, because I believe because he was a suspect in Christina White's disappearance that Clint's mother, like, you know, divorced him.
It up.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I'm not about to have you around my
just
son.
in case he did have something to do with it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That definitely is a strainer.
Mm-hmm.
During the search for 12-year-old Christina, police and family members recalled Voss aiding in the search. But while doing so, police noted that he had kept suggesting to search in specific areas that were clearly the opposite of where the search was leading them.
Which is like a common
red herring
detail, I guess, you know? It's kind of like, okay, clearly you're pretending to help, but you're not actually, like, contributing in anything to what we got going on.
Just trying to throw us off, huh?
Throwing them off, but also keeping close tabs on what they're doing so he can stay one step ahead. Right. And, like, in a sense, I guess this is a smart move, but, like, it shouldn't be because you shouldn't be doing this shit anyway. So, yeah. Police also recounted a time where they asked Lance to take a lie detector test, and he refused.
Oh, this guy.
Not saying that a lie detector test, you know, determines everything, but yeah, you know,
because they aren't the be.
He didn't even want to take the chance,
right?
So that's really it. And the police have never been able to find Christina's body. But they have a very strong inkling that she was, something happened to her by the hands of this man. And when it comes down to Steven is the other missing link, because without Steven's body ever being recovered and police never getting closure on whether he literally just disappeared or if he is now deceased, no body, no evidence, nothing, no motive, like literally just nothing, they can't solve any of these cases because of that, because of one missing body. All because of Steven.
That's fucking scary, because it, like, I don't know, like, I've watched so many mob movies and so many different, like, crime movies, and I've always heard the saying, I can make you disappear and no one would ever know, like, where you are. So, like, when I hear stuff like this, it's like, bro, like, that shit really happens to people. Like,
it does, and it's scary, even not connected to the mob.
Right.
And one other detail, so, about Christina, Brandy, and Steven is, police kind of came up with a theory that proposed the idea that for some reason, some way, somehow, Brandy and Christina ended up at the theater that night themselves. Okay. And when they did, Lance was there and, attacked them, or I don't know, did whatever. He did. But if that were the case, since Steven was either on the way or he was about to be there, police believe that, around this time, just with how the stories are adding up, like the time the girls left and never came back, as well as the time that Steven supposedly arrived, police can easily match up the timelines and assume that if something did happen at the time of Christina and Brandy's arrival to the theater, Steven could have been like probably right behind them to go do his thing there, and could have walked in on
whatever was happening,
the attack. Yeah. And obviously at that point he could have either stepped in, or just from being in the wrong place at the wrong time, seeing something you shouldn't have saw, he was then attacked himself. So that's kind of what police are leaning towards. Makes a lot of sense, but it's kind of just hard to believe that one man could take out three people, three grown people, at one time. But unless Christina and Brandy were already, like defenseless, then he would just have to worry about Steven at that point.
Right.
So
I don't know. It's daunting, because like, of course there had to be like a fight back or something. You know what I'm saying? There had to be something. Exactly.
And there's no like cause of death. We don't know. Like, you don't know anything. I don't even think there was a cause of death for Kristen. And then we don't know with Christina White.
Yeah.
And then with Steven, he was never found. So, just a lot of holes, a lot of things that, just don't connect. But they do. It's crazy, because it's like right there in your face. Like, clearly this man did it. Clearly.
And it's like,
how was he the last person to see every single victim?
It's like I've said in a few other cases. It's definitely a slap in the face. Like, it's definitely one of those, haha, like, I'm laughing at you because I know that I did this and you can't prove
Especially the fact that he was even like, well, I guess I'm in a heap of trouble. Like, just making a joke out of it. It's like
what the fuck?
Because he knew, you guys you can't catch me. I'm right here and you can't even catch me. Like, that's how he was thinking.
Right. Like, I'm literally in you guys' hands and you can't even grab me because you can't get the evidence.
It's crazy. It's just so fucking crazy. So that is the Lewiston Clarkston murders. And yeah, it's just fucking crazy.
Lance has never been charged in any of the crimes until this day resides in North Carolina.
Way to end it, right?
Right.
Just living his life. Like, he didn't even pass away. He's still alive.
And
that's kind of scary.
Yeah, things like that really
like he got away with it. He's pretty much a serial killer.
Things like that really make me question a lot, because it's like there's always that saying, good things happen, like bad things happen to good people, but what the fuck happens to bad people?
Apparently not shit. Well, okay, sometimes. But I just don't think it's ever enough to I don't know, to make up for the hurt that they have caused.
Yeah, not at all.
You know, and the pain. So now we're going to roll into our ending questions. We have 5 of them. So, yeah, answer these questions with us. Because we want to know your guys' thoughts. Because this shit is really crazy. It's just crazy.
Beyond.
Fucking wild.
Looking at the first question. Do you think Christina or Steven could still be alive?
Yes, and this is because I don't believe they were either one of them were ever pronounced dead, because there was no body. But sometimes after a certain amount of time, the police will close the case and will pronounce them deceased. After a certain amount of years, with no leads, no activity, no sign of them. But I don't think there has been that with these two. So there is a possibility.
Yeah. No, that's how I feel too. I feel like they could definitely still be out there, but like you said, after a while they just say, we're just gonna assume they're dead.
Yeah. And I see why. But if I were Christina's mother or Steven's wife or something, I would still hold out hope that they would still be alive,
Definitely, yeah.
That's of course what you would want. It's just so frustrating to not even have a body, no reason, no motive, nothing. So, question number 2 is, do you believe Voss was the missing link in all of these cases? Do you believe he was the true missing link?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just too damning of evidence.
My man,
I don't even think with this they needed evidence. And it's crazy because even these days there's some cases that are solved without DNA.
Yeah.
Just because the police are so sure, without a doubt, that this person is responsible for this said crime. But with this case, even with all of the damning evidence, I guess you could say, it's still not enough.
And that's
you were the last person to see all these people.
And that's what makes it so sad. It's damn,
And you
what
knew them.
do we have to do?
Yeah. How else can you prove that? And especially when he low-key gave a quick confession talking about, well, I guess I'm in trouble. Because why else would you be in trouble if you had nothing to do with anything?
Exactly. Why would you even say that?
And why are you changing your story?
Yeah, and you've been lying.
And you denied a lie detector test.
To make it make sense, even though they're not always accurate, but still, you've already given a confession. You've already changed your story. You've been lying.
Right. And you were the dude with no alibi.
Exactly.
And you were the dude. Look, I would be on his ass. Anyways, and you're the man that's connected to all these people. You know them.
You work at the theater. You live down the street.
Somehow, some way, you were connected to these people.
Yeah. If anything, if I were a detective and I had the chance to talk to him and he did say, oh, well, I guess I'm in trouble, I would definitely want to know why.
I'd be like, why? What you did?
Why
tell
you
me,
just
explain.
Why do you just feel like you're in trouble all of a sudden? Because if you didn't do any of this shit, it shouldn't matter.
Oh, and on top of that, he was the dude that was redirecting the searches, telling them to go look in places that didn't even matter.
Throwing out red herrings.
Purposely. Come on.
That's crazy.
Too many fingers pointing at this dude. All 10. Pointing at this dude. So, the third question is, do you think any of these murders / disappearances can be solved in the future? And I'm talking about conviction and all, just solved. A complete
honestly,
story of what truly happened to each of these individuals.
Honestly, I don't know. I honestly say no at this point.
I feel like if we get a confession out of him, yes. Otherwise,
that'd be the only way. That'd be the only way. Yeah, if we were to get an outright confession, back in '84, this is what I did, and this is how I did it. To XYZ.
If he finally decided to own up to it on his deathbed, or confess to somebody in his life, even.
Right.
Yeah, because damn, you gonna take that to the grave?
Right, and why?
For what? All these young lives. All these people were so young.
What'd you get out of it, bro? What happened? What?
So I've heard that there's a thrill. Some
serial killers see it as
little sociopaths and whatnot. They don't comprehend things the same way we do.
Definitely.
So for them, it's more of a surge of energy, a thrill to them. It's like, it's empowering.
And that's definitely like a psychological thing that I like
scary.
Hate getting into, because I've like done this, like I've researched it and studied it, but it's like so scary to think about.
And it gets deep too. Yeah. Very deep.
Question number 4. What could authorities have done differently to solve this?
Oof. That's a tough one with this, because I honestly feel like, authorities definitely did try.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to Kristina David specifically, they should have done better, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
I just don't agree with that whole waiting to report adults missing.
Yeah, no. You got to be on top of that, because they're just as important as
they are.
Kids
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, fuck.
So yeah, I definitely agree. They could have done more in that aspect, but at least they did try. So I can't even give them the usual no, they didn't do anything, because they did something.
Right. And the last question is, do you think that there could have been multiple killers and that Voss is innocent after all?
So I don't think he's innocent. Definitely putting that out. I do not think he's innocent in any sense. Okay. But the fact that one man was able to get rid of 3 people and a child with all alone, it seems a lot like a lot
across
for one
like
person.
Borders too.
Yeah, it's a lot for one person
in 2 states.
Exactly.
Like he was, just like hopping back and forth. Yeah. And like, I don't know, when it comes down to now Christina and like the Civic Center situation, I definitely think that was him.
Yeah.
As far as Kristen David, I don't know. I just have a feeling that it could have been somebody else, but I don't know. With how good I hate to say it like this, but like how good the body was hidden and how he got away with it for so long, like to the point to where bodies were decomp and like completely skeletal, and like just all these little details. He had to have known what he was doing, or he was just very fucking smart, because the fact that literally all of them, like he was successfully getting rid of these bodies to the point to where like it's been a while since like somebody has seen this person. Police have been working on this for a little bit, and the person's already highly decomped by the time they're found.
I just like when it comes to stuff
not
like
every
that,
not every serial killer can do that.
Right.
Not every serial killer cares, or killer in general cares to cover a body like that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how could you sit there and do it all by yourself? Like, how could you just repeatedly
and do it so well
with no trace, not
even cause of death?
And that's the weirdest part, because it's like, you would think that they would mess up at some point.
Yeah,
you would think that there would be a fumble somewhere.
One fuck up.
Yeah, and there was not one. Like Steven completely don't know where he is.
Yeah, like at all.
Like,
and also when they went to the theater, like, if he did do something to 3 individuals in that theater, where's the
footage?
Well, not even footage. There wasn't even footage back then. But like, where was the crime scene? Like, he must have cleaned it up. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there would have been something left behind.
Right.
Something would have been left astray.
That's why,
like, blood somewhere.
It just seems impossible for one person to be able to sit there and clean up the entire crime scene, go on about their night, and dispose of the body, and then go home.
Yeah.
Or wherever the fuck he went. And do whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Stay there and take a nap, according to him.
Or whatever. So, like, I highly believe there were other people involved. But, will we ever know? Possible. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think we will. And if we do, probably not, I don't know, like, anytime soon. So, yeah. That is it. That was Idaho. And the 5 murders and 1 link. Whew, it was a roller coaster ride, to say the least. There's just a lot going on in this case, and we really want to know your guys' thoughts with this one, because this one is just
talk about a ring of fire.
Literally, like, there's just so many details, so many things, and I'm sure there's details that we didn't even cover, or that it just isn't disclosed to the public.
Definitely.
But fuck, like, this case just has me thinking about it, because it's just so crazy. And to know that the police had their guy probably, spoke to him many times, saw him face to face, and couldn't do anything about it. That's what sucks.
Yeah, and it's got to be tough on all.
Because what do you tell these families?
Yeah, it's got to be super tough on not only the families but the people that worked on the case too. Or,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. A lot of investigators like get very deep into their cases. Like a lot of people
dedicate their lives.
No, and they get attached to these, to these victims, and I feel like this is one of those cases where the detectives and the police who did work on this case definitely will take this with them to the end, because this is just one of those things that, how can you forget about that?
Yeah.
It
just fucking baffles me. Like, no trace of anything is anywhere.
Nothing. But I think they did a pretty damn good job linking one man to 5 different people.
Now, if they did do anything, that they did a great job there.
Yes.
At least they tried.
I agree. So, that concludes episode 27.
Yeah.
Anything to end us off with?
If we're gonna end this, I just say be careful, pay attention, and check on your people, man.
You said this every time.
People. Yeah, it's important. People need to hear it.
Yeah, and also let us know your guys' thoughts on handouts. Do you think that if your parent or somebody that you know is like a millionaire, are they obligated, or a multimillionaire or more, are they obligated to provide for you in any type of way? Let us know.
Yeah, leave a
Even
comment.
if you provided for them at one point when they were in need, I want to know your thoughts on handouts.
Definitely.
Yes. To not be mistaken with freeloaders. But handouts. Yeah. All right. I think that's it.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, I've been your host, Sav.
And I've been your host, DJ.
And this has been another episode of Deeper Than Most.